There are specific steps you can take to ensure you're effectively case cracking your mentee's performance. The first thing you can do is build rapport. Begin the session by thanking them for reaching out and trusting you. This is also a good time to remind them of the coaching mantra. Next, you'll want to state the symptoms. Ask the employee to explain what is happening. Feel free to ask questions and restate what you hear. You want a clear list of symptoms that cause them to reach out to you, not a long list of complaints. Try to get to the main problems. Document these in the notes of the employee's precision management toolkit, unless they ask you not to. Then you will co-diagnose the root cause of the problem. Pull up the peak performance equation and share it with the employee. Then you could say something like, "Thank you for being open and honest about the situation you're in. I think we have a clear understanding of the problems, so now I'd like to work together to determine the root cause. We'll use the peak performance equation to do this. Let's each take about a minute to review the equation and come up with what we think the primary and secondary cause of these issues is. Allow time, and then ask, do you feel like you have a good idea? I have some thoughts, but please let me know what you think is the primary root cause." Take the next moment to compare diagnoses. Ask questions. Come to an agreement if possible. If not, reference convincing the mentee their diagnosis is wrong. Next, you'll want to create a coaching moment by acknowledging the work you've both just done and thank the mentee for their effort and honesty. You may also ask them how they're feeling and use phrases like, "I'm sorry you're in that situation. That must be really frustrating." Or, "Tell me how you're feeling after going through this exercise." Now the only thing left to do is prescribe a solution. Note that this step may take place in a separate meeting or over the course of 1 or 2 meetings. Coming up with a solution is challenging. Remember, it's not your job to solve your mentee's problem for them. Your job is to coach them through the problem. Please review the Prescribing a Solution play for more information. So what does this look like in action? Keep the steps from the previous slide in mind as we go through this example scenario. Say a mentee comes to you and they are upset that their manager is not treating them fairly. They tell you that they feel like they're not being treated with a sense of dignity. You pull up the peak performance equation and have them take a few moments to look at it and think about where this frustration is deriving from. They quickly realize that their issue falls under the extrinsic motivation category because they have a lack of belief in their leader. Now is the time to really dig and ask for self-reflection. Your mentee has stated that their problem definitely involves a lack of dignity and lack of trust in their leader. But you can say, "Okay, I also thought it could be that you're struggling to take feedback, which is part of being a great teammate. What do you think?" Propose it in a way where they have to consider their contribution to the problem and consider that they may bear some responsibility, but where it doesn't feel like an attack. It's just curious questions where you're asking them to self-reflect and either agree or disagree. The goal is to get an agreement where both you and your mentee have co-diagnosed and discovered the true root cause. If you cannot get on the same page about the diagnosis, you will want to check out our other training on convincing a mentee that their diagnosis is wrong. But hopefully in this case, the mentee realizes that they aren't being a great teammate because they aren't receiving feedback well. Once you've identified this, you can brainstorm together on a prescription. This could be taking the feedback training or the Be a Great Teammate training. You will also want to work with your mentee to case crack even more about why they're being defensive and figure out a way to encourage them to be more receptive. Performance case cracking is going to be one of the most difficult tasks in coaching. You will have to recognize that someone isn't 100% with an aspect of coaching mantra and dive in that moment. Just remember to rely on the peak performance equation and ask questions to get them to share. Make sure to listen more than you talk, reassure them through encouraging statements, and then probe the problem in a way that gets to the real heart of the issue. Performance case cracking will happen a lot, so get comfortable with the steps and even practice with a peer if needed. I hope this video was informative and empowered you to better tackle performance case cracking.